Okay. Excuse me.
Excuse you, exactly. That's
Excuse
what I
me.
was thinking, because I do want an answer to this question, Catherine.
What?
Why is it always Catherine and James? Why isn't it ever James and Catherine?
Oh, because C comes before J.
That's what you're going with?
Mm-hmm. That's all I got.
That's really the reason why you always put yourself ahead of me.
James and Catherine, Catherine and James. It sounds more to the point with ending with a one-syllable name.
You're going to syllabize me now?
I'll flip it this time.
Well, that's what I used to do. I'm just saying. Some of us are a little more equality-minded than others.
I was thinking about that. That's funny you brought that up because I was like, should I flip it this time? And then
You were thinking about it, but you didn't do it.
I probably fell
you?
asleep halfway through the notes.
Such a masculine thing to do.
I know.
Nah, it's not worth it. Nah. I'm still more important. I'm the one doing the show notes, so I get to put my name first.
I do. That's all.
And it's surprising that I have to bring this up again.
Oh, now what?
We already talked about link hygiene. Remember that when you sent me not the video link, but a link to a Yahoo search results?
Right, whatever.
You did the exact same thing again to me.
When?
The last show, which was 2 weeks ago, so I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I was like, she's not really doing it. I was trying to figure out if you were trying to do it to me intentionally.
No, it's probably unintentional.
Oh, I don't know which is worse.
I don't know. I tried to clean it up. I tried to make the Apple links go away too, and I can't do it. It just all comes out Apple News. I've looked up articles. It just won't work for me. I don't know what I'm doing.
There is one easy correction for that, and
dump Apple News.
I can just send you the links because that's what I did this week.
Okay,
but
that's
the
fine.
Apple links is really simple. It's got the little freedom arrow that gets you out of Apple News and takes you to the website.
I did that, and then it brought it up in the link as Apple News again.
One last thing for people who haven't tuned out yet.
Right.
I bought a new bike.
Oh, did you? Good.
It is a great bike, but it's not the one I expected to get.
Not the Straggler?
It was not the Straggler.
Oh, man.
It was a little disappointing, but I wound up going with a Giant Contend AR.
What? A Giant Contend AR? I don't know what that is.
Giant is the brand.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Contend is the model, and AR is for all-road.
Oh.
Basically, it looks like a fancy road bike, but it's kind of a relaxed road bike.
I see.
I went to the Giant bike shop just to try it, just to, basically to rule it out, and then I ruled it in.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was, oh my gosh. After one block of riding, I'm like, this is the bike.
Sweet. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Before we get into our topics, I have one more random thing that happened to me.
Uh-oh.
I ate an Oreo.
What? And that's different how?
It's different in that I actually enjoyed it this time because I really don't like Oreos.
I love Oreos.
To be just horribly sweet.
Oh, they are, yeah.
I don't even know what they're supposed to taste like aside from just punching you in my teeth with sweetness.
Right.
But I had one. I don't know. I guess they're doing the right thing because they finally got one that I like. But they have all these weird.
Yeah. Did you get the original or what?
Oh no! God no! Those are the worst. No, I guess they're not the worst. I think the double stuff would be the worst.
All right.
No, I got something called chocolate peanut butter pie.
Oh my God.
The thing that caught my eye was, and it's not in the title, but graham cracker. They have graham in the cookie, and then half of it is peanut butter, and the other half is chocolate, or I should say, flavored.
Oh gosh, no,
100% synthetic.
Oh no, if I do Oreos, I'm a purist.
It's not worth being a purist when it comes to Oreos because they're so gross.
They actually are, but sometimes you just feel like eating one. It's like drinking.
I do now.
Yeah, it's like drinking Coke. I don't often drink Coke, but sometimes you just want something sweet and you just want a couple sips because that'll put me on my knees. I mean, it's just crazy, the sugar rush. Well, good for you. I'm glad you found some Oreos. Well, there you go. That's a straight up graham cracker.
Well, it's not exact. It could be a little more Grammy. The whole point of the graham cracker is it's basically a cracker that is just the slightest bit of sweetness, but almost no sweetness at all to it. This is definitely a bastardization of the graham. It's got too much sugar in it, but one side is peanut butter and the other side is chocolate.
Oh, I see. How very cute is that? That's adorable. Okay, I have a small update about Paul Allen's art collection.
Yes.
Did you see Christie's whopping $1.5 billion
Oh boy,
I know.
that's
Wow.
hard to take.
What?
That's the big news is not the pieces themselves, but look how much money we made.
Oh yeah, yeah. They were so excited that they they kind of hedged their bets, kind of cut their losses. They had some
What?
outside. Well, they had some outside investors if no one had
That
ponied
wasn't
up.
cutting. No. That was just another way of artificially inflating the prices.
They marketed as cutting their losses. But anyway.
What we're talking about here is at this particular auction, there's a new trend where they will basically pre-sell some of the work. So they talk to some collectors, some organizations, and those organizations say, okay, well, if it doesn't sell for X dollars, we'll buy it for $40 million. Just so you have a guaranteed sale. And of course, the only thing that does is it increases the prices because people see that going into the auction and knowing what the bidding basically is starting at and what someone thinks it's worth. So that gives you the basement from which to start.
Oh, so that's kind of like it functions almost as a reserve then, is what you're saying.
Well, it is a reserve,
okay.
but it's a public reserve.
I see.
So
Anyway.
hey, look, everybody. Somebody already wants to pay $40 million for this piece of canvas with a little bit of oil paint on it.
Right. So I was not shocked, but it was really quite astonishing that 5 works went for over $100 million. That's crazy.
I think there may be too many really super wealthy people in the world now.
Well, they said there's 2,600 billionaires.
Yeah, that seems
roughly
way too high.
Yeah, they said that they're fortunately they're insulated. From the global economic woes.
We're so grateful that they're insulated from the rest of our the crap that they've levied down in our economy, and that we pay for all their tax breaks, so that they can buy artwork from Christie's. What I enjoyed about that is that they had several more images from his collection.
Yes,
and he was really good at picking works.
He was,
because they were all, as the kids would say, they were all bangers.
They were. No, guy had a good eye. He had a good eye.
And enough money to feed it.
So, but the one quote from the article that I thought was, I don't know if it was cringy or interesting, was he changed the way we live our lives. Now he's changed the art market.
Yeah, that was nonsense. Complete nonsense. It's just, I don't know why they let these people talk at Christie's. So an interesting, talking about classism, I thought, I read this article through the lens of classism.
Right.
Classism.
Okay.
Buildings are banning e-bikes amid deadly battery fires.
Oh, right.
Because they're kind of exploding at home. I can understand them being a little bit upset about an e-bike exploding in the hallway or in someone's apartment, and then the apartment complex goes up in flames. I can understand being worried about that, but then there are complexes in New York who are banning e-bikes, and I think that I see that as classist because that's how the poor people are getting around these days.
That's true, but it's the lithium battery fires, correct?
Yeah, and the ban, it seems a little excessive, right? You're just going to ban all of them completely. What are you going to do? Ban oil, like olive oil, because you have oil fires in apartments too? You're going to ban everything that could possibly cause a fire?
When I looked at this, I was thinking we carry lithium batteries around with us every day in our cell phones. And I read an article sometime this past week about 5 things to throw out of your house immediately. And one was old cell phones. And they said even if they're off, that the batteries can kind of start swelling and it'll warp and your phone, so I mean, what are you going to do? Ban cell phones? We carry them. I mean, mine is with me. I know you don't carry yours as much as I do, but it's constantly within arm's reach of me. And, that thing, it gets hot. And then just a quick note, the house on the corner to the east of us just went up in flames, and the family just up in flames.
Oh, that's so funny.
No,
it's
horrible.
Story.
No, it's not. It's not. But the reason for the flameage was that their kid had left in his pad. I don't know if it was an iPad or whatever it was, and he was charging it. And they went to a movie, and the house just erupted into flames. The battery exploded.
Batteries are unreliable. I remember.
So don't leave your batteries charging when you're leaving the house. I mean,
remember an electrical engineer once told me that he doesn't ever trust batteries. It's like they always go bad.
Right.
It's like hard drives. Hard drives and batteries always go bad. And Yeah, the batteries, the lithiums can be a little scary.
Mm-hmm.
I had an old iPhone 5S, which my brother-in-law gave to me, and that was a great phone. I liked that phone,
Oh
but
yeah.
he gave it to me after I think he had it for about 2 years, so the battery was a little bit iffy. So I replaced the battery, which was kind of a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't hard to get the phone open, but there are these two little strips. So the battery is glued into the frame of the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and the frame of the phone was like a bathtub. It was like recessed. And so there's no way to pry it out then, and it is, it's glued down.
Okay.
And it had these two little tabs that you could pull to basically pull the glue out.
Okay.
Except that as I pulled both tabs one at a time,
Mm-hmm.
they broke off immediately.
Wait, you replaced your own battery?
Yes, I was replacing my own battery, but as I'm trying,
Oh.
so that the thing, you can't get it out unless you can get the adhesive off, and the
Okay.
tabs just immediately broke. So that was like, okay,
Okay.
how am I going to get this battery out now? Because it's recessed. There's no way to pry it under. So after much consternation and very slowly trying to work my way on it underneath it, so I could start prying the battery out.
Mm-hmm.
I got it about halfway through, and then I got a little bit impatient, and then I just took a pair of pliers, grabbed the battery, and started kind of racking it back and forth.
Oh.
At which point, I'm now bending the battery in
Oh
half.
my God.
And it doesn't burst into flame per se, but it starts to ignite. It's like smoldering, and it's starting to spark. I'm like, oh, this is bad. So I extract the battery as quickly as possible from that point. Now the scary point is, and the reason I'm telling this story is that I think, what am I going to do with this? I'm holding the battery now in a pair of pliers, looking at it as it's burning. I'm like, let me just get a glass of water and put it in the glass of water, and I think that'll surely work. Well, it kind of worked. I put it in the glass of water, and it was still burning.
Oh my God.
It
Was
burned
that
for about
hot?
a day, I think. No, it's not that. It's just that, this is the problem is the lithium batteries, or batteries in general, are filled with energy. So you have to kind of wait till the energy dissipates.
Oh, I didn't think of it like that.
I don't know if people remember way back in the pre-Cambian when phones were really quite small. The 5S was a
Right.
really small phone.
Mm-hmm.
And the battery was maybe the size of a pack of gum, maybe 1.5 packs of gum. So it was a pretty small battery. So if you're having a problem with that small of a battery, you can imagine an e-bike who has a battery the size of a baseball bat, or maybe
Right.
two.
Right.
That would be a little bit more concerning. But even so, I don't think most people are prying their batteries out of their e-bikes with pliers. Or if you are, I would say stop.
Yeah,
Don't-
stop.
Don't do that, because lithium likes to burn a lot.
Well,
It's good at burning.
but when I read this article that you sent, it seemed like, were these like wonky batteries or batteries that were replaced in these bikes? I mean, they're not differentiating like decent batteries, because one of the things that said e-scooters and e-mopeds have dodgy batteries.
Well, it depends on the bike. It depends on the person who's doing it, and maybe they're rebuilt batteries, but it's certainly the cheaper battery is going to be built in
Right.
a more suspect manner and be
see.
a lot less reliable. Sanyo makes fantastic cells, so if you looking for a bike, and if it specifically says what kind of cells it's using, if it says it's using Sanyo cells or some kind of Japanese cell,
You're okay?
You're in good shape.
Okay.
Now, even those batteries can go bad.
Right.
Like the Samsung, I don't know if you remember this, but a few years ago, Samsung's premier phone, I don't remember
Yes.
which Galaxy, it was one of the Galaxies,
Right. It was.
was bursting into flame.
Right.
And they were, I think for a time, temporarily, they were banned from airlines, which makes sense because someone on an airline, it burst into flame, it burned his leg, and it fell on the ground, and they were worried, or floor, they were worried that it was going to burn a hole through the airplane. Which would be bad for an airplane, because
That'd be
on its way
horrible.
down, it could sever a control line or something. Who knows what?
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing was, do you know Grand Theft Auto?
I've heard of it. I don't play it.
It's a pretty wild video game where you can go. It's like an open world. You go into a world and you play as a bad guy, basically like a drug dealer, and you can shoot people, you can steal their stuff, you can do whatever you want, but you can hack the game and put in your own weapons. So, as a joke, someone replaced the grenade with this Samsung Galaxy. So there's this clip that I have of a guy throwing a Samsung at basically a bus stop where there's a bunch of people. and someone says Samsung Galaxy, and they all scatter, and then it hits the ground and it blows up. They're just running for their lives away from the Samsung Galaxy
Samsung
phone.
had a run with weird stuff, didn't they?
It was just that one.
Well, no, and I had the washing machine that when it went on a high spin cycle, it would explode.
Oh.
Yeah, and I had to I got a new one.
I think that may have been a battery management problem, but everyone has problems like that, so I'm not trying to take it out on Samsung.
No. Samsung's cool. I mean, I have a lot of Samsung products in this house. So, anyhow.
But the batteries, I think you can respond without having to ban an entire class of very popular commuting vehicles.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. And so what is your suggestion? I mean, what do they do? Where do they store these bikes if they can't bring them into their apartments?
Well, I would say that the apartment complexes have to respond to the needs of the residents. And if the residents need to have e-bikes or e-scooters or some kind of, one wheels, which is kind of like a scooter.
Right.
You create a spot in the basement or somewhere where you can secure the stuff and you can have a fire suppression system that can handle it.
Perfect.
It takes some effort on the
building
facilities
part.
and the buildings part, but that's what you got to do to keep up with the times. Or you make sure that they have appropriate. If you have an e-bike that the resident has an appropriate fire extinguisher or some other mechanism to. Like that. Or, the city of New York, which is where this is happening, maybe they need to put some laws in place to regulate the batteries.
That would probably be the best fix for safety.
Or, combination of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a PSA?
It was a good public service announcement.
We have an actual PSA, though.
We do?
This was a couple of weeks ago, because we haven't been on for a while, Catherine.
Well, we have.
A report came out a while back.
Yes.
It says in-app browsers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that means?
What? In-app browsers.
Yeah,
like if you're in, like Facebook or Instagram or some other apps,
right.
And then you just can click on, are they the links of the advertisements?
Right.
And then it's inside the app, and then you're connecting through the app, right? That's my thought.
I have an iPhone, so you have Safari as your browser. Right. That is a dedicated normal browser.
Right.
But if you're on Instagram and you click on a link to buy something or to look at someone's bio or something, and it looks like it's opening a browser, it's not actually opening a browser. It's an in-app browser. So it's a mini browser that's inside of Instagram. You're not actually using Safari. You're not actually using your system default browser.
Oh.
You're not using a safe browser. You're using whatever the heck Instagram has decided to fake you into thinking is a browser.
Okay.
And the problem with that is that, since it's not the system browser, it's an Instagram browser, that browser can do whatever it wants. And there are a lot of JavaScript nonsense that they try to run. And JavaScript is basically code, so they can execute code on your phone without you knowing it.
Great.
And naturally, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok are some of the worst offenders as far as having nefarious JavaScript running.
Interesting. So, I used that inappbrowser.com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it said that there was nothing on my... But, I mean, does that mean there's nothing?
Well, the problem is you have to do it while the browsers are running, but it's just creepy because they can do a keylogger. And what that means is it can log the keystrokes that you're typing into your phone. As one of many things that it can do.
So what's the fix here? How do you figure out that ever happened? I'm constantly clicking into ads in Instagram. The
fix is not to click on ad links within apps like TikTok or Instagram. It's just to go out to the web and open those pages.
Okay.
So the worst offender is TikTok, because most of the time, like in YouTube does exactly the same thing. It drives me mad because their browser sucks. But in YouTube, at least, you have the freedom arrow in YouTube as well, the YouTube browser.
Right.
So you can open it in Safari.
Okay.
Directly from that. But TikTok doesn't have that feature, so you have to just open up your browser manually and go to the advertiser like some kind of animal, typing in the URL.
Animal. So have you just clicked on links before inside those? Now I'm worried.
I only click on stuff that's not important, and I would never click on a link and then go ahead and buy the stuff.
Right.
Through that link. I would go outside of the web.
I always do too. Yeah, that's what I do too.
Because Safari is awesome, and I trust Safari, so yeah.
Agreed. So I won't worry about it, but I won't do it anymore.
Good. That was the PSA.
Okay.
Don't use in-app browsers.
Don't use
on your phone,
browsers.
on YouTube, on your tablet, wherever you find them. And we just don't need them anymore. The links should just open up your browser. There's no reason why they shouldn't do that. It's just these guys trying to have more control. Ugh.
Ugh, I know. Yuck.
Kick them right in the nuts. That's what they deserve.
Oh, kind of.
Wow. You want to talk about more technology stuff?
I don't know. What do you feel like talking about?
Well, the more AI.
Oh, yeah. Is this ever going to... It's never going to stop, is it?
Well, I don't know if it's going to stop, but it's just gangbusters right now. Now that the Bitcoin is blown up.
This is the next Bitcoin. This is the next big
Well,
thing.
I wouldn't say this is the next
No, not Bitcoin like a
this
Bitcoin. Yeah. But
it's the next big thing in technology.
the next big thing in technology. Right.
But I don't know, should we, in passing, mention that cryptocurrencies really had a little bit of a setback this past week when FTX, one of the main trading platforms, went bankrupt.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, completely bankrupt. Just gone.
Oh my
just
God.
Gone.
Anyway.
Yes, do you want to expand on that point?
Well, it seemed like it was nothing anyway, so the fact that it's gone.
Well, they were worth over $30 billion, so it wasn't just nothing.
Well, to me, it always seemed like air.
It is.
Okay.
That aside, yes, that was a lot of smart young people were putting a lot of effort into cryptocurrencies.
That's
and
sad.
I'm not going to put the final nail in the coffin of cryptocurrencies because it sounds a lot like what people were saying after the .com bust. Like, oh,
Right.
the internet's over. This obviously was stupid.
It was,
we should
it
never
wasn't over.
spend
Yeah.
all this money on it. Blah, blah. Cryptocurrency has some place in the world, and the underlying technology, blockchain, I think does as well. So we'll see in 5 to 10 years, it may well have come back.
Yeah, I think it was a little premature. I think it needed a little bit more fine tuning. But this,
But the reason
yeah.
I talked about this article, unleash all this creativity, Google AI's breathtaking potential. Maybe it's just the way the article laid it out, but it seemed a little scattershot to me. They had all these different programs that they're working on.
Well, they had different
AI.
categories, and it's like they're just trying to, the different categories, like the social good, speculative experimental, creative, whatever. I don't know. It seemed like they're just trying to, the fun stuff. It seems like they're just trying to take over our entire life with AI.
Is that how you felt? Because like I said, the way this article laid it out made me feel like it was really scattershot and they didn't have a coherent goal. Well,
I think it is a scattershot. I think it's like trying to figure out, because some of the stuff is, it's fairly new, but it's rapidly evolving. And so they're just looking to see what will work, I think. I think it is scattershot to an extent, but the fact that they parceled it out into like social good, wildfire tracking, flood forecasting. Yeah. The maternal health ultrasound AI bothered me in terms of like, the demise of Roe and tracking. I mean, it's like, how much more do you want? You know what I'm saying?
How much are you going to cry about that? Just because you've lost body autonomy. How important is that to you?
Don't even get me started. But that bothered me. Maternal health ultrasound AI. But the preventing blindness one.
Wait. Did it bother you because it triggered your Roe reaction, or is there something else specific?
No, it triggered my Roe reaction,
okay.
And to assess a fetus's gestational age and position in the womb. It's like, how will that be used? Because later on they discuss like the downsides of some of these, and so any platform that has good, there's always potentially bad, and I think you have to be careful how you're developing these things.
Oh, I haven't paid attention to your district. So did Judy win her election or not?
I think I'm not in her district anymore.
What?
I'm not in her district anymore. When they
Oh.
I'm out of her district. I couldn't even vote for her.
Well, we should do some. Oh, okay. Should do some follow up on that and see if she won.
Yeah, we need to. Yeah, we need
she's
to.
not in my district, so
No.
I
I was in her district. That's why I was always supporting her. I still support her. I think she's a phenomenal human being, as is Jean Castine. But neither of them were on my ballot because when they redistrict, I was bumped off. I was too far south.
Well, that stinks.
Okay. Anyway,
that was some other good news as a side note for us anyway.
Right.
Was that Masters lost.
Right.
Mr. Crypto Baby.
And body autonomy seeking.
And Fontes won, which was important.
Yes, that was very important to me.
And the governorship is still undecided, but at least at the moment, Hobbs is ahead.
Yes, fingers crossed.
So things are looking well as far as the political front.
Yeah.
So hopefully you'll get your body autonomy back.
I hope so. But anyway, getting back to this situation, I felt like it was kind of a scattershot. but they were hitting all points. It's like, okay, so where, and my question is like, where are they going to focus their resources? Because you certainly can't do it all.
I don't think they were hitting all points. I think this was, it was, like I said, it was just a couple of things here and there, and that kind of disturbed me that they didn't have a coherent goal set here. They don't seem to have anyone in the company who has an idea of what AI should be or could be about. There's no one who has a vision about it.
Yeah, I don't think they.
Steve Jobs,
they may or may not. Go ahead.
When the smartphone back in the old days, pre-iPhone, BlackBerry was making smartphones, and they were kind of progressing at a rate that wasn't, they were interesting, but they were clunky and garbagey, and no one had a real vision of what it could be until Steve Jobs came around.
Right.
And then suddenly we went from clunky devices, both some of the old stuff that Windows was doing, or I should say Microsoft was doing, as well as obviously what BlackBerry was doing, clunky devices, and then Steve Jobs came and had a vision of what it could be, and then completely revolutionized what the whole market for smartphones was. And to some degree, not to some degree, also mobile computing.
Right.
Someone needs to come through like that today and have that vision of what is AI? What are we going to do with it? We're just kind of scratching randomly at different parts because no one has a vision of it yet.
I think we're in the clunky phase, and it is very new. And
we're not going to get out of the clunky phase unless someone comes up with a vision, right? If we hadn't had Steve Jobs, we'd probably have pretty clunky phones still.
Well, who's going to be the visionary? Do we have any visionaries out there?
I don't know. I'm too old.
I'm too old. And I'm not that.
And neither of us have enough influence.
And nor do I have the interest or the backing and the background. I mean, I don't really, or there's no interest, no like mastery, and I'm just critical of something that I'm not even understanding half the time. But go ahead.
So I found the article mildly interesting to see what the different areas they were performing in. But it's just one more knock against Google not really having their top-level vision together.
The article sums it up in the bottom line, and I will quote from the article. It says, despite recent financial headwinds, AI is steamrolling forward, with companies such as Google positioned to serve as moral arbiters and standard setters.
I don't think it's going to be up to Google, though, since they don't seem to have the leadership capability for
this,
as I was just pointing out.
I found that frightening. I found that more frightening than anything they could do. Moral arbiters.
Yeah, but they're not. So there are no moral arbiters when it comes to technology. No one decides it. If they did, we wouldn't have TikTok or Twitter or Instagram or any of the stuff that really is noxious. Oh, I should have started with Facebook, I guess.
Yeah, Facebook and Twitter.
Or Parler.
Or Twitter.
Parler.
Yeah, I've never been on Parler.
Good. Any
final thoughts on that? Because if this does move forward, what do you think will be the...
Well, it is moving forward.
But move forward in a coherent fashion.
Well, it's not a coherent fashion. I think Google, since they don't have a vision for it, Google's not going to be the leader. It's going to be kind of like... I think Google's going to be left behind just like Microsoft was when it came to actual mobile phones. For a while, Microsoft had its own mobile phone system. And it was actually pretty nice, but they didn't follow through with it, and they don't have a mobile platform now. And so they're kind of, out of the operating system. And they still have Windows, but most of the computing these days is happening on mobile, so they kind of gave up their lion's share of what their market was. And I think Google's going to find themselves in the same position. They're not dynamic enough to figure out a way to get into and dominate the new market, which is AI.
Yeah, maybe they should pick one or two areas to focus on.
Well, no, I think they need to have a broad spectrum approach. Figure out, I don't know.
I don't know.
I think we're going to wind up with smaller, independent programmers coming up with breakthrough technologies. Like Instagram initially was a couple of guys in, a small office that made it and then sold it for $500 million. Unfortunately to Facebook, but that's how things go.
That's how it goes.
On a positive note.
Yes.
Yeah, you know I'm kind of a disaster when it comes to fashion. I don't apply fashion sense to my own life.
Oh, okay.
Well, you should know that. You've seen me.
I've seen you. I haven't noticed.
Yeah, I mean, I look like some kind of reject from crossover between REI and Costco. That's my fashion sensibility.
Oh, it's lovely.
Though I have an eye. I know what looks good.
Yep.
And what looks good to me was this, unfortunately, the show that happened in 2015, so it was far too long ago to ever see it again. But China Through the Looking Glass was a gallery setup that Met in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And I just happened to stumble across the video they did, the video walkthrough they did of it. Again, the Met, because they're awesome. And it blew me away. Did you watch that video?
No, I never.
Well, then
didn't
watch the
send it
video
to
and we'll
me.
talk about it. I did send it to you.
No, you did not.
I absolutely, the iMessage list of stuff that I sent you. I can look it up right
These
now.
are the 4.
All right, it wasn't in the iMessage.
Thank you.
It was supposed to be in the iMessage, though, so I'm still blaming you.
Oh, okay.
All right, we'll talk about it next week,
because I didn't read something that wasn't apparent.
And I don't have a lot to say about it, but we'll still just put it in the show notes and we can talk about it next week. And just Met put on this amazing show of fashion pieces from the past couple hundred years from China and about China or interpreting China. It blew me away.
Okay, next week then.
Something to look forward to.
Yay.
And blowing up not in the sense that there was any battery technology involved. Just I was more of a blowing up my mind.
Okay.
So no, it didn't burn down the Met.
Okay, and no lithium exploded. Okay, that's good to know. Watch those batteries.